and welcome to Cooking from Their Heart. I am your host, Danielle Motley Lewis, and thank you so much for joining us this month. Just to recap, if you've joined us over the last few months, we've learned a lot about hemp foods and, most important, the hemp hearts. We've learned that the hemp hearts are an overall superfood. We've learned that the hemp hearts are a complete source of protein and are more easily digestible than any other plant or animal protein, rather. We've learned that the hemp hearts have more omega fatty acids than any other type of fats. So these are an excellent seed to incorporate into your diet. So today we're going to talk about hemp foods. We're going to talk about other plants and medicine as well, and its impact on the womb. Today, I have with me three fierce and dynamic women who will talk about their journey on their womb health, and we'll talk about how they use plant medicine to help them in their overall well-being. So what we've learned about hemp hearts is first and foremost, food is always our first medicine. But many of us don't realize the impact that food has on our bodies and for women's on our womb. From processed foods to caffeine, which I'm trying to give up now, processed meats, and even alcohol, they all play a role in our overall well-being and in the health of our womb. Unfortunately, most women only learn about the womb as it relates to periods, having a baby, and menopause. But today, we're going to share a little bit more of how we get through and navigate through each one of those phases of life. Womb wellness is a key to women's overall health. And today, we're going to touch on all of the phases and the plants and vitamins that are needed to help us. Today, I'm going to introduce an amazing doctor, Dr. Olga Obi. Dr. Olga is a U.S. board-certified emergency physician, a cannabis herbalist, which is also called a cannabinologist, an endocannabinologist, and if you were with me 2 months ago, you learned about what that is. It's a scientist who studies the endocannabinoid system, which we'll learn a little bit about today. Dr. Olga is also the president of the Association for Cannabis and Health Equity in Medicine, otherwise known as ACHEM, and she is a founding board member of Texans for Safe Access. Dr. Olga is also an international public speaker on the holistic lifestyle medicine, cannabis health, and cannabis medicine. Dr. Olga's true passion is teaching, so it is an absolute privilege for us to have her join us today. Today, she hosts brainstorming health sessions with her clients. Did you get that? Brainstorming health sessions so that she can work with the client to figure out their best plan of care. She also educates health professionals interested in creating eclectic clinical practices that merges traditional healthcare with non-traditional holistic care. Everyone, please join me in welcoming Dr. Olga Obi.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Danielle.
How are you today?
I'm well. Thank you. How are you?
I am doing well. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure and a privilege to be here with you today. So let's just jump right in. Let's start with cannabis herbalism. Can you talk a little bit more about what that is and what you do in that role?
So herbalism in general is what we refer to as plant-based medicine. Herbalism involves generally the entire plant. And we do know that were created for our benefit. Genesis, for example, which is a Christian background, talks about the herbs being from the earth and created for our benefit. And so herbalism in general is the incorporation of the herb into the human or animal life for their well-being, vitality, and wealth. This is important. Third, cannabis herbalism focuses on the cannabis herb or the cannabis plant for its medicinal, spiritual, mental, and overall wealth uses.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
You're welcome.
We have, for those who have joined me before, we've learned a little bit about the endocannabinoid system, but can you give us a quick and dirty overview, 1 minute or less? What is the endocannabinoid system and why it's important for today's conversation?
And you guys are hearing pings because I'm also doing an IG live for my clients so that they know about Hemp&fork. But the endocannabinoid system is basically the system that was created for us to balance all of the other systems. So in general, you cannot have an elementary school, you can't have a business with multiple staff or multiple students without there being a central governing body. It is a very difficult thing to accomplish, unity without a governing body. The endocannabinoid system is the governing body. It is the composer of all of the other systems. That's your brain system, your nerve system, your heart system, your lung system, your kidney system, your reproductive system. All of them need a central governing body or an orchestrator, and it is the composer. Without it, you cannot have maintained biological homeostasis, which is balance. If one thing goes up, something else has to be turned on to bring it back down so it can come back to balance. The body needs balance. The entire universe needs balance. The endocannabinoid system is the balancing system for the human body.
Thank you so much for that. Wow. Okay. So we'll get back to the endocannabinoid system, but let's talk about the different phases of the menstrual cycle, because we're going to highlight a little bit later how stress, food, and even trauma can impact that and where the endocannabinoid system comes into play.
Yes, so the menstrual cycle, and it's funny because we talk about the menstrual cycle because that's the easiest way to identify the female reproductive or vitality system. Men also have a similar cycle, but we're going to focus on the female menstrual cycle because it is extremely complex and extremely essential to female vitality. There are 4 basic phases of the menstrual cycle. There's the actual bleeding phase, which starts from day 0 or 1 up until about day 7. So most women will bleed between 3 and 7 days. That is your menstrual phase. Then there is the ovulation and luteal phase. Those phases involve the growth of your endometrial lining, the development of the oocyte or the egg, and the actual dropping of that egg. And then you'll have, that's the ovulation and follicular phase, And then you'll have your luteal phase, which is the growing and the nourishment of your endometrial lining to catch the newly developed egg so that it can nestle, if it's fertilized, inside of your uterus. So those 4 cycles cycle generally with the moon between anywhere, some women will be 23 up to 42 or 43 days long. Some women much longer. Some women only menstruate or bleed twice a year. But in general, there are 4 phases that are meant to shed your lining, grow your egg, mature the egg, allow it to be fertilized, drop inside of the soil or the endometrial lining, and if fertilized, grow into a baby, or if not fertilized, go back into the bleeding phase.
Okay. Well, as we know, so many women suffer with painful periods, fibroids, ovarian cysts, and other ailments throughout that cycle, or will even prohibit them from having a cycle because of those different ailments. So how does food play a role for women during the menstrual cycle?
Food in general is meant actually to nurture us. It is not necessarily meant for taste or enjoyment. Taste and enjoyment bring in a spiritual aspect that we need as spiritual beings. But food in general is meant to grow the vessel. It is meant to nurture the vessel. It is meant to extend the life of the vessel, not just for survival, but for thriving, so that the universe can learn about the genetic superiorities of each individual long enough so that you can continue it. So food is necessary for nourishment. And our menstrual cycles and our entire moon phase requires good fats. It requires certain acids. It requires certain aminos for proteins, and it requires certain vitamins and minerals.
Okay, that's excellent. So, during the opening, I definitely mentioned hemp is one of those foods. But can you share? I know that there are many more out there. In addition to hemp, what other herbs and plants can folks look to feed their bodies?
All women, whether you identify with being a woman or whether you do, have an ability to have optimized feminine vitality. So there are certain herbs that I believe all women should encounter in their life. One of them is Vitex. Vitex is in Texas it grows, it looks kind of like a blueberry, a bluebonnet bush. Vitex is a certain herb that is useful for managing our progesterone. It also manages other hormones like luteinizing hormone. There are yams, purple yams, which are very helpful for estrogen vitality, and that includes the skin boiled, of course. And one of my favorite herbs, which is sage. I use sage. Not every woman will need it, but I use sage in order to feel confident in my maturity as a female. So certain herbs are meant for your individual genetics. Other herbs are kind of across the board. And it's whether you identify as a female or not. That's very important because even if you don't, your female parts have a maximum capacity. And you want to be able to give that even if you're not going to use your female parts.
Thank you for that. And you know what, Dr. Oba, forgive me. I did not give you time to do your disclaimer. So let's go ahead and put that in. That this is just general advice and they need to see their own primary care physician. Is that correct? If they have specific questions about their specific, okay.
I am not your doctor. This is not medical advice. So I give you this information that I researched, and I want you to take it to your practitioner and talk candidly about how what I'm saying can be incorporated into your life safely and effectively. But I am not your doctor.
Thank you, Doctor.
You're welcome.
Okay, so you shared some vitamins and minerals and things that you incorporate. Would you, how do you honor your womb? What are some rituals that you practice to honor your womb?
The womb is a female or feminine vessel. It is a feminine orb. It is a feminine antenna. It is therefore infused with feminine energy. We're not talking about being girly. We're talking about feminine energy. The single most powerful creative energy that exists separate from masculine is feminine. Feminine energy is patience. It doesn't matter if you're patient or not. It is the energy of patience. And so one of the main rituals that I practice is when I feel something, I check in. I do not rush my body, specifically not my womb, not my third eye, not my thyroid, and not my ovaries or my uterus. Whether I'm feeling pain or not, I check in. And I reinfuse it with the most powerful energy I can, which is patience. And I sit and I say, although I feel pain, I know that your pain is greater. So I am here with you, and I will not rush you through this. Please show me what is it that I need to provide you, to be with you. I will not abandon you in this time. And so I say these things to my organs because it is that energy that I know it needs during that time. My pain is not greater than the pain that my uterus is feeling, for example. And so I should not be an abandoner of my own body. By practicing this ritual, I remember not to abandon my body.
I know you couldn't see me over here, but I was secretly taking notes. Patience. I circled that. I'm going to have to circle back to you. Thank you so much. Is there anything else that you would like to share with our viewers before we move on to our first food demonstration?
No, but you guys stay tuned because I'm so excited. I'm going to listen and watch this food demonstration. I have nothing else to say.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Oga.
You're welcome.
All right. So next up, everyone, I have Bianca Turner. Let me read her bio. Bianca Turner, native to Detroit, began her journey into herbalism and womb health during her relocation to Hawaii in 2016. It was there that she noticed the effects of poor diet and lack of connectedness to nature. Let me repeat that. She noticed within herself the effects of poor diet and the lack of connectedness to nature, and how much it had on her mental, physical, and emotional well-being. On her journey to bridging the gap within herself, she found the ancient practice of vaginal steaming, which unlocked her path onto womb health. Bianca believes that there is no separation between nature and humankind, and has a passion for assisting others and bridging the gap within themselves as well. Everyone, please join me in welcoming Bianca. Hello, Bianca. I don't hear you yet, but I see your beautiful spread. Hello, there you are.
Can you hear me good?
I can hear you. I do hear a slight echo.
Okay, let's
You
try
have
again.
Okay, that is perfect.
Okay, good.
All right.
Hi.
So thank you so much for joining us, Bianca. How are you today?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I am doing well. I'm doing well. I'm a little overheated over here, but I'm calming myself down because I'm thinking fall, because it's the first day of fall was the other day, but California weather isn't in line with what I'm thinking.
I know, exactly. It's very hot.
It is, yes, it is. But we're here. So tell us what you're going to prepare for us today.
So what I'm going to prepare for us today is going to be a cinnamon chocolate hemp butter.
Girl, okay, I need to come down to Long Beach. A cinnamon chocolate hemp butter. What is the inspiration behind this dish? How did you select those ingredients and put them together? That one is new to me.
Honestly, it came from my love of just snacking. I love a snack. Especially I love some chocolate, and just chocolate and cinnamon together just tastes so delicious to me. So I decided to mix those together and see what it would create.
Okay, all right. Well, go ahead, walk us through the steps.
Sure. So it's super easy. It's only 5 ingredients. What you're going to need is 1.5 cups of hemp hearts. Also, we have 2 tablespoons of unsweetened cocoa powder. We
Okay.
also have 1.5 teaspoons of cinnamon and a pinch of Himalayan salt. Also, we have 4 tablespoons of coconut oil. So, really simple ingredients. What you're going to do with this process is you're going to go ahead and blend up the hemp hearts and the cinnamon, the chocolate, and the Himalayan salt. You're going to get that all mixed up. Once you get it mixed up, it should have a consistency like this. So, it's kind of like a crumble to it. So, that's what you're looking for.
Hold on just a second. I wonder if we can get a closer shot of that, because I wasn't able to see. We're going to turn on your other camera here. Okay, there we go. Oh,
Yeah.
wow. I'm just stunned. Okay, carry on.
Okay, and then from there, you're going to add 4 tablespoons of coconut oil. This process, you're just going to mix it until it mixes into a butter, and your final ingredient will actually, or final result rather, will actually look like this. This is the final result of the chocolate cinnamon hemp butter.
Okay, so is it like it looks a little thicker than a Nutella?
Yep, so I would say it's
Or like
around the thickness.
a hummus.
I would say it's around the thickness of a Nutella.
Okay.
Yep. And so you can eat it, with fruit. As you got some strawberries, some bananas, and some apples. But also, what I really, really loved about this recipe is that you can use it for other things as well. Like you can take the hemp butter and incorporate it in other recipes. So I also have here a hemp butter energy ball here. So protein balls. And I
Okay.
also made some oatmeal hemp butter cookies.
Okay. Well, you're just doing the darn thing down there. So how long will the
Yeah.
hemp butter last? And how do you make the hemp butter? So the hemp butter that you made the cookies and the energy balls with, did you mix the cinnamon? Is it sweetened like
Hmm.
the dip? Okay. Okay. So you just
Yep,
use
it's
the same.
exactly the same. I just incorporate it in the actual recipe. So
Okay.
especially when you get to the energy balls, you would usually use peanut butter. So instead of using peanut butter, I just substituted the hemp butter instead.
Ah, I actually just
Yes.
made some, I think 2 days ago, and I used peanut butter, but I really wanted to use a different type of butter. So this will be coming up next. That's an amazing recipe. Thank you for sharing. So I see that you have
You're welcome.
made fruit slices
I'm sorry,
to
say that
enjoy.
again.
So you have mainly fruit slices on your tray to enjoy the hemp butter?
Yep, I do. Just because of the cinnamon chocolate flavor. If you want it, you can omit that and just make a regular hemp butter with all the regular ingredients. So, which will be the hemp and the coconut oil. It will give it more of a nuttier taste to it, and not so much of the sweet. So, if you wanted to maybe substitute the hemp butter for with celery, that would be great too, I would think.
Okay. All right. Well, thank
Yeah,
you so much for that demonstration.
you're
I see
welcome.
you
And I
have a mixing
also
jar. Oh, go ahead. Mhm.
Yep. So I do want to make sure that I note that it's only good for 2 weeks. You want to keep it in a mason jar in the refrigerator, but it'll be good for 2 weeks though.
Okay. Well, that is awesome. 2 weeks. I have something new to try. But before you go, I do want you to
Yes.
tell us a little bit more about womb alchemy.
Okay, sure. So in my title, as you see, I'm a peri-steam facilitator. So what that is in layman terms is I facilitate vaginal steams. What a typical session with me will look like is, we'll go in, we will have a consultation, just a one-on-one consultation to see what brought you to this practice. From there, we would create a custom herbal blend and a custom steam plan for you to follow. And if you're unfamiliar with what vaginal steaming is, it's an ancient practice of sitting or kneeling over some herbs, and just allowing the herbs to pretty much just do its work, to heal anything that you have going on. And it allows you to just connect deeper to your womb and, to your womanhood, to your femininity.
Okay. Thank you so much for sharing that. And how long have you been practicing this?
I've been practicing this since 2016 when I originally found this. I recently was certified for this. So, yeah, I'm excited to get going.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Before you
Thank you.
go, so we know that you incorporate hemp into your diet. We
Hmm.
saw on IG Live, for those who follow you, that red raspberry leaf, is it? It's
Yes,
something
yes.
that, okay. So tell us a little bit more about the red raspberry leaf and how you incorporate that into your diet.
Okay, so red raspberry leaf is a great tonifier, especially for the uterus, for the womb. So that's why it's my number one go-to, especially when it comes to vaginal steaming. It's going to help you tonify. It's going to help clear out some things that you might have going on and strengthen the walls as well. Now, how I enjoy red raspberry leaf outside of, incorporating it in my vaginal steam, I do enjoy it as a tea. So I'll get about a tablespoon to about 8 ounces of water, maybe a little honey, maybe not, depending on the day, and just enjoy it that way.
Okay, that's
Hmm.
awesome. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with our viewers, Bianca?
Yes, I just want to share that if you guys would like, you can follow me as you see here on Instagram at underscore womb alchemy, and it's on the screen as well. But womb alchemy. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. If you are local to Long Beach, I do provide vaginal steam services, so you're more than welcome to reach out to me. And I also provide virtual consultations as well.
Okay, thank you so much, Bianca. We'll see you a little
You're
bit later in the
welcome.
show. Okay, everyone. I hope you enjoyed that. So you know you need to go out and get your red raspberry leaf. You, of course, need to head over to www.hempandfork.com and pick up your hemp hearts. And there's plenty more that you're going to learn about during our time together. Now we're going to have a bit of Q&A. So some of our folks sent in questions because, as I mentioned, during the intro, this is a very important topic. And unfortunately, not enough of us have these types of conversations. So we have the privilege of having, Dr. Olga and Bianca and our other guests, Tamika Range here. So we're going to ask a question for Dr. Olga first. So Dr. Olga, our first question comes from a viewer from Michigan. So she writes, now that I've reached menopause, I'm learning that I need to pay attention to my diet. Wait, hold on. I need to pay better attention to my diet so that I don't get turned off from intimacy. Do you have any tips or anything that you can share about intimacy and menopause and diet?
So, that's a big question. I'm going to assume that you have, friend, your uterus. If you still have your uterus, you still have your cervix, then you still have a very responsive organ. If you don't have a uterus, no worries. You still have a responsive organ system. But for those of us who still have our uterus, our libido or our desire is almost not physical at all, with the exception of us being distracted by having to get rid of toxins. Toxic foods, medicines, and drinks that continue to enter our body and distract us are things that are going to raise our acidity. Non-natural packaged foods.
Say that one more time.
Non-natural and packaged foods. I am not trying to attack your grocery store. Your grocery store has attacked you for me. Okay? So when we go to the grocery store, women that are going through menopause, we are going to stay on the periphery. Fruits and vegetables, skip the meat, come back around to the grains. Okay? Fruits and vegetables should make up your entire plate. Skip the meat, come around to the grains, and then you can come back around to the meat. You're going to avoid red meats, which I include pork and poultry in. I know that people want to think that poultry is different. So that's red meat, pork, and poultry. You're going to stick to the fishes, certain seafoods, specifically clams and oysters. If you want something meaty, you can also eat eggs. I am not telling everybody to eat the same diet. You're going to figure out which diet works for you. Some people will not be able to eat melon, for example. If you can't eat melon, go to the next fruit.
Yeah.
So without being able to do an in-depth consultation with you, friend, first you're going to start with eating foods that are light and electrifying, not acidic foods. You're going to have to Google that or look it up. And you're going to stay on the periphery of your grocery store, skipping the meats. That's totally lax. But your sex drive is almost exclusively not physical. This has to do with you touching yourself, praying to yourself, calling yourself goddess, accepting that you are the creator of the universe, and the highest energy that you're seeking to tap into, which is sexual energy, is the single most diabolical and incredible energy there is. And it involves tapping into yourself, calling yourself what you are, which is a goddess, calling onto that goddess, continuing until you snowball and touch yourself. Experience every single part of your body. Anything that can feel, you have to do it. You're going to write down things that you're learning. You're going to smell yourself. You're going to taste yourself. These are things that turn us on, not just because it's sexy, but because it's sexual. It is a creative energy. When you start doing that, certain foods you're not even going to want to eat. I promise that. And certain foods you're going to want to eat. And you're going to start to learn what you should stay away from and what you should eat. But primarily, friend, what you need to do is start touching yourself in private, talking to yourself, infusing yourself with the power of feminine energy, and getting back to that's called feminine goddess awakening. Get into that sacred rage, all of that stuff, get back to you. Stay away from what society tells us we're supposed to be. Get back into that, and then start eating foods that are light, where you feel hungry every 2 hours. That's what you need to start eating. I'll leave it at that.
Okay. You just dropped a lot. I hope people were taking notes. Thank you so much, or they can run this recording back. Okay. So we have another question. I'm not sure where this one is from, but they've asked how to treat fibroids naturally. So this may be a question that's more for the doctor, unless one of our other guests have experience with this. But Dr. Olga, I'm going to let you start. And if anyone else wants to weigh in, they definitely can.
Okay. Natural fibroid healing has a lot to do with raspberry leaves. It has a lot to do with Vitex. It has a lot to do with hormone balance. It has a lot to do with healing trauma by addressing it. Trauma has a good way of causing hypertrophy, which is the growth of generally of muscles, because muscles protect us. There's trauma that has affected the womb. You will find that the womb starts to hypertrophy. That could be trauma of being abandoned. That could be trauma of being raped. That could be trauma of just not feeling like you're good enough. But that womb will hypertrophy because the vessel will grow in order to protect you. So it involves balancing your hormones, taking herbs that I think all women really should partake in, and addressing and healing that trauma in general.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Olga. Bianca, did you have something that you'd like to contribute?
Yes, I do. I also just want to add that vaginal steaming can also assist with fibroids and just removing them. But you would want to get on a consistent practice of this, at least once a week. For 6 months is a great way to start. Women have seen that they were actually able to pass the full fibroid just by doing this practice.
Okay. Thank you so much, Bianca.
You're welcome.
Now, I'm not sure if we have any additional questions coming through the chat, but we may have one more. Okay, I believe this is one that's better for the doctor. Let's see. Women who experience irregular periods or uncomfortable symptoms are usually prescribed hormonal birth control. Are there natural alternatives that they can speak to their doctor about? Dr. Olga, you can start first. You're muted. Okay, you're good now.
Okay. So the question is alternatives to birth control?
Alternatives to birth control if they don't want to take hormones for painful periods.
For painful periods, got it. Again, painful periods can come from fibroids, endometriosis, emotional trauma, and hormone imbalances. Overall, hormone balancing can contribute to decreasing fibroids, endometriosis, and it's called a vulvodynia or uterodynia. So pain in the uterus or pain in the vaginal area.
Okay.
There are natural supplements that you can take. Again, we talk about, and I talk extensively about this. I bring up raspberry leaf and Vitex because they're two very common herbs that are very useful, and most women can use them. But there are other things like damiana, cassava, and garanona that are helpful in balancing your hormones as well. But without going into depth, what you want to do is address what is going on in your life. Your uterus is an emotional organ. And if we try to pretend like it's not, then we're going to keep running into issues. So first address the emotions and the mental and spiritual things, even generational curses that are affecting you. You also want to watch what you're eating. Again, no acidic foods. You don't want foods that are going to cause muscles to grow in the uterus. And then incorporating herbs to rebalance your hormones. And I do want to also stress that making sure that your weight is normal for you is important as well. The more weight you hold on to, the more you're going to have displaced hormones. Likewise, if you're underweight, you're more likely to also experience chronic pain.
Okay. Thank you so much for answering that question. That actually, you brought up some things for me, which is what drove me to want to have this conversation. So many people, you don't know until you know, right? And then when you know better, you do better.
Yep.
So, and you learn to handle things differently. I never realized how trauma or past sexual experiences or past emotional experiences can have a huge impact on your womb until my husband and I, we were trying to get pregnant and dealing with different ailments. And it wasn't until recently, after I had my daughter, is where I learned about, oh yeah, all that stuff was impacting me. So yeah, I hope that, folks are taking notes and pay attention to their body, so that they can, follow a different path.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, we are going to move on to our next food demonstration. Our next food demonstration comes from Tamika Range. So Tamika Range, let me grab her bio. Tamika Range is a Brooklyn native, a wife, a mother of 3 young children who attained her BS in finance from the University of Central Florida in Orlando, and her Juris Doctor from FAMU College of Law. After a few years in finance and corporate law, she shifted her attention to cannabis legalization and most recently served on the board of M4MM. She most recently also, she's doing a lot of things. She most recently joined Cookies Retail as the Director of Government and Community Affairs. And I have to state this, is the Chief Legal Counsel for Hemp&fork. Everyone, please join me in welcoming Tamika Range.
Thank you so much. Let me get my volume down so I do not offend anyone's ears. But thank you so much, Danielle, for having me this evening. I am so excited to be on the show. I've watched you so many times and I'm here. So I'm excited.
Yes, it's a pleasure to have you. And I understand that you're even traveling. So we are honored and privileged that you took a moment of your travel schedule, your busy schedule, to spend some time with us and share your journey.
Yes, I am actually in the middle of a conference. So I have taken up a little bit of the conference space to set up my little kitchen. So this is going to be your how to create a great hemp meal on the go series.
Okay. So what are you making for us today?
So today I'm going to do cilantro and hemp pesto dip. I'm a huge snacker, and I always have to get, I'm a huge snacker even when I'm not on the go. But when I am on the go, it's very difficult to stay with my plant-based diet. So this is something that I figured would be cool to show everyone how you can stick to your plant-based diet while traveling. And you can also create a nice dips that you can have chips and dip at home with something healthy.
Yes. Okay. Well, go ahead. Tell us about your ingredients and the steps to make it.
Yeah. So what we have today is we have 5 ingredients. We have, of course, you see the beautiful cilantro, and we have hemp hearts, and then we have sea salt and some garlic, and we have some extra virgin olive oil. So it's really only 5 ingredients to this simple recipe. Probably the most trickiest part is having a food processor on hand to blend it up while you're on the road. But pretty much it's a few simple steps. What we're going to do is, are you ready for me to walk through the steps?
Yes, please go right ahead.
Perfect. So we're going to do 2 cups of cilantro into the food processor.
I love this. On the go.
And then we're going to do a half a cup of hemp hearts.
Okay.
Sprinkle that all in. And then we are going to put in we're going to do a half a teaspoon of sea salt. And this is a half of teaspoon, 3/4 of teaspoon of garlic powder. And all of them, we're talking about wound care. And I am happy to say that I traveled with all of them in my nursing bags. So if you don't have Ziploc, all of the extra mom stuff still comes in hand. So I
Okay.
went to the mommy bag, and then I also went to the baby bottle to travel safely with my supplies.
I
Because
love
you have
it.
to travel with small amounts, right? Because we don't want to bring the whole 8 ounce of olive oil with us on the road. So we're going to put all of that in a blender, the first four. We're going to hold off on the olive oil. And blender food processor, it does better than a food processor. And
Okay.
then it's going to be a little bit loud, so bear with me just a minute while we blend this up.
Okay.
Okay, you want to blend this up first before you put in the olive oil so that it can get the cilantro and the hemp hearts and the seasoning all mixed together. And
Okay.
then we can pour in the olive oil, maybe half of the half a cup first, and then get that going. And then we pour in the rest of it.
Okay.
And then we get that going as well. And it's very good to have something small and cute for food processor because this fits in my carry-on.
Absolutely. So you mentioned earlier that you're a snacker. So I know that with everything that you have on your plate, you don't have time to make fresh snacks and dip on demand. So how long will something like that keep in the refrigerator for us?
Okay, so I want to say a couple of days, and that's because I'm a big foodie. So it will be consumed
Okay.
before the expiration date. So
Okay.
I will consume this within the next 3 to 5 days. But if you keep it, the cilantro and the garlic kind of keeps it fresh. So if you blend it, you should try to consume it as soon as possible. That's ideal. If you can't eat it as soon as possible, put it in the fridge and consume it within the next 3 days. The thing about plant-based is that there's no preservatives in the food. So
Right.
we make our food fresh, like we make our hemp milk, we make, all the things that we do fresh. But that means it has to be consumed right now. We can't store it in the fridge for a couple of days and then go back to it. It's going to be spoiled. So that's the benefit of being plant-based is you get to eat fresh fruit a lot.
Yeah.
I do eat a lot of greens. I eat a lot of collard, spinach, lettuce, just those things that are greenery. And I sprinkle some things in there. And so what I would do with this is after blending it all up, and then we do something like a cauliflower chip or a blue chip or I love my beet chips. I couldn't find any beet chips on the road this time. And so today we have cauliflower tortilla chips and
You know,
grab your chip.
I have seen those in the store and I've been so reluctant to try them. But I'm going to try them just because Tamika Range is eating them. So I will definitely
There's
try
some good pesto.
them. Okay.
This is a better pesto than at the store, and I know what it's made of and what's in it. So
Absolutely.
this is
So how
super
long have
quick.
you been plant-based, Tamika?
Actually, probably for about, I have to do the math because I go back and forth. For about a year now.
Okay.
I go back and forth because I started out for a couple of months and I ended up in the hospital because for some people you can make a drastic change into being plant-based, and I was drastic. So that ended up causing my pressure and different things to go off.
Yeah.
And since that, it's been about a year, 9 months to a year that I've been plant-based.
Okay. All right.
But I will say, I do want to add a caveat. I did not eat red meat before, so I was already on a chicken and fish diet. So I feel like that's an easier transition to go from that to plant-based than if you have a heavy red meat diet. It's a different type of transition. So I do want to put that out there so that you're like, oh, well, just overnight in a couple of months. No.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. Tell us how you honor your womb as a conscious woman.
Honoring my womb is something that is very new for me. I have 4 children, one that I carry close to my heart. And it wasn't until I lost her that I understood the importance of womb care. You know, we're told as women that we're made to have children, and so we take it. So I took it for granted that it was just something that came very easy, and that it was something I was made to do. Not that I needed to nurture my body and nurture my mind and my heart to do those things. I just, you know, I have a womb and I'm pregnant, and so I'm just gonna be a healthy pregnant person. But after losing Zen, my daughter, at 6 months, I had to turn and do a lot of internal self-care. And unfortunately, when you go through those situations, you start to question your body. And it was a self-love type of thing that I got back in the womb care. So talking to my womb, loving on myself, and really loving my body, getting back into knowing my body, not the way that the world wants it to look, but the way that the universe has said, this is where you are right now. And you know, when you lose a baby, or when even after pregnant, you don't just lose the weight; it's still there, and your body's still going through the changes. So I feel like losing her was the universe putting me on a path to womb care, body care, just care as a goddess, as the doctor said. Because before that, I was just I'm a woman. This is what I'm made to do. I'm here to do it, and there wasn't that level of detail of care. So I'm very new to the practice.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. I would say that I am new to it as well. As I mentioned with the doctor, it wasn't until after having a miracle baby that opened my eyes to, oh no, I need to be paying better attention to what it is I'm consuming. And maybe all of this trauma and all of different things that I need to shed have had an impact on trying to get pregnant. Because as you mentioned, some people just make it look so easy.
Yeah, and I was one of those people. You know, my doctor called me my midwife called me her perfect pregnant woman my first 2 pregnancies. Yes. So in my mind, I was just like, oh, I'm here. It's going to be perfect. Yes. This is how the world works. And it's not something that we talk to each other as women when we have, you know, traumatic experiences. So we don't tell each other about the difficulty. So then I'm just walking through, and it wasn't until I lost that a lot of women started to come to me and tell me about their womb issues. And I said, oh my gosh, this is so many women this is applied to, and it's not, you know, something we talk about. So unfortunately, there is that facade out there that being pregnant is easy, or, you know, it's an easy process, and there isn't a lot that goes into it as a woman. But the loving yourself in a way that a doctor is not going to tell you how to love yourself. Fortunately for us today, we have a doctor that is blessing us with a whole host of information for our self-care. Yes. Remember what she said? She is not giving no medical advice, but she is blessing us with some serious care that we just don't see often. So I'm thank you so much for having me here to talk about womb health. I really thought I was going to cry through this, but I made it.
You made me cry. I don't know if you realized that. I wasn't sweating this time. I was actually shedding tears. But
I had to look away really quick because you were going to get me there. But as I said, I'm at a conference and I didn't want to go back downstairs crying.
Thank you so much, Tamika. We're going to jump back to Dr. Olga. She has a nice treat for us. Dr. Olga, what are you going to show us today? You're muted. Okay. Okay, while she is, okay, she's back.
Sorry, I muted by accident.
No.
Okay, so I'm going to show everybody how to make a raw cannabis juice. Raw cannabis is very helpful because it includes the entire plant. We talk about the entourage effect. We talk about the endocannabinoid system. The endocannabinoid system is not supported by pieces, supported by the entire entourage. So we're going to make a raw cannabis juice. What we use in Texas is hemp, because marijuana is not legal for us yet for everyone. So we're going to start with ginger. You just put a piece of your ginger inside. I like a lot of ginger. Ginger is one of our electric foods. It also helps with antioxidant support. Just put that in your juicer. Okay, lime. I keep the skin on my lime. A lot of people don't like the flavor of lime skin. If you don't like it, that's fine. I use skin and I use the entire plant because I'm a whole plant medicine physician. Whoops.
Okay.
So you put a quarter lime in there.
Okay.
Got an entire apple. I like pink lady apples. A lot of people don't like hybrid fruits. I understand that.
I'm a Honeycrisp girl.
Yeah, I enjoy hybrid fruits as long as there's seeds. I do not like to eat fruit without seeds.
Okay.
This is a pink lady. It is a hybrid apple. You're gonna use the entire apple with the seeds. And we'll talk about laetrile in our session. So some of my patients that are watching understand what I'm talking about.
Okay. And for those who aren't your patient, we're going to have to try and connect with you another way. Have you do a half-day master class or seminar or something.
So you and I, we're both part of ACAM. I will be happy to do any of your projects. I would love it. And we can do some master classes with herbalism. That would be fun. So you're going to take your entire cannabis, roots, stems, leaves, everything. You're going to put it in your juicer. Everything, flour, everything. Make sure it's raw. We're not using dry flour. Dry flour is decarboxylated. It's going to make you high. This is so that you can take before you start your day.
So for people who aren't in cultivation and they're not growing, where would they get something like that? Where would they?
We are working on weaving. Angela, my business partner. Hey, Angela. And myself with the Hemp&fork, we're working on being able to provide resources for clients. So soon we'll be able to help those in the Houston area and the Texas area get live plant. But Danielle's right, if you're not near a source, you just want to start looking for it. And I'm going to tell you right now, DuckDuckGo, Yahoo, Google, they're excellent at finding resources. But
Google and God.
Make sure that your plants come with certificates of analysis so that they don't move on. Okay? And then after, we're going to put that in our juicer, juice it. I'm going to turn it on because it's too loud. Okay. Then after, we're going to take a tablespoon of sea moss. Okay. And mine is congealed, so you may have to take your juice and put it in another blender to blend it in. I just take my tablespoon before I put it in my juice, and it's not a big deal.
Okay.
And then after that, you're going to blend it. And I already made some juice here.
Ooh. That looks so good.
And that'll make you about 6 or 8 ounces of juice if you just use one whole apple.
Okay.
And that's it.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. I've never ever juiced the cannabis plant, so maybe I have to reach out to one of my sources and get me some.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Well, we have lots of, not lots. We have a few giveaways for our viewers today. Before, let's see, we have 2, correct? We have 3. I think we have 2. Okay. I think there are 2. So the first thing that we're going to raffle off for folks who have who registered for the show. So as you know, we advertised, we pushed out an Eventbrite link, and there were a group of folks who registered. So we have a list of those individuals. For the first person, we are raffling off a Hemp&fork brand affiliate membership. So that means you get to be our brand ambassador. We're going to set you up with a nice starter pack, which includes our a few bags of our hemp hearts and all of the support that you need electronically to post and send out and post on your social media. As a brand affiliate, you also get a few coins, but we'll discuss that later. So it's a program where when you send your link out and people purchase the hemp hearts using your link, you get a small little kickback for that. So that person, who's our winner for that particular person? I think we're going to flash the name up on the screen. I don't even know who it is. Sherry Lambert. Okay, Sherry Lambert registered for the show ahead of time. So she is the winner of that particular item. Sherry, are you with us? We'll see if she's with us. If not, we can connect with Sherry later. Okay, so the next person is going to win something from Dr. Olga's company. So let me pull out my phone because she texted me the list right before we started. So we have a women's womb package that includes 1 water-soluble full-spectrum or THC-free tincture, 1 full-spectrum bath bomb. I want this. 1 therapeutic full-spectrum topical cream for the pelvis, neck, and head, and 1 full-spectrum post-bath body lotion. Say, what? I want this. This is amazing. So this is an item that's brought to you by the Hemp&fork, which is Dr. Olga's brand. And that person is Adrienne Robinson. So Adrienne Robinson, she pre-registered for the show. So she is going to win one of Dr. Olga's women's womb health kits, as well as of a bag of hemp hearts, of course, because this is the Hemp and Fork Cooking from the Heart show. So Adrienne Robinson, are you with us? If you're with us, if you can text in the chat that you're with us so that we can know you're here and we can arrange to give that item to you. If not, we can connect with you offline. All right. So I would love to bring all of our guests back so that we can do a very quick closeout. Okay. Let's see. Okay. All right, so we have with us closing out Dr. Olga and we have Bianca. So Dr. Olga, tell us how people can reach you, if there's anything that you're working on, how they can connect with you and follow you.
Okay, well, first and foremost, as the president of ACHEM, I really would like everyone to reach out to me on our website. That is www.achemed.org. You can either join the organization or just reach out so that you can find me. You can also be found on the Texans for Safe Access website, txsafeaccess.org. Or the fastest way to find me is on my Instagram. It's at DROGA_hemp life. Should be on the screen there. And you can find me there. DM me. People DM me hundreds of times a day. I don't know how I keep up with it, but I do because I like it. But DM me questions or how you can reach me, schedule consultations. That's the fastest way.
Okay. And in summary, what's one thing that you hope women will take away from today's show?
You are the goddesses of the universe. All of us are. Real talk. Get back to you.
Get back to you.
That, find me.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Olga. Next, Ashe, we have Bianca. Bianca, how I know you are already mentioned womb alchemy. Is there anything special that you're working on, and anything that you want people to connect with you on? Okay, we can hear you now.
I was muted there. But currently I am working on some bath products. So I'm working on a bath bomb. I'm working on some bath salts, things of that sort that are free of hormone disruptors, which are in a lot of our products today. So I really just wanted to like steer more towards that direction. So that's what I'm working on. So stay tuned with that. And as I said earlier, you can definitely follow me on Instagram if you are interested in vaginal steaming. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, thank you so much. And is there one thing that you want women to take away from today's show?
One thing that I want people to take away from today's show, there is power in what you eat. You should be feeding your womb nourishing things. You should create rituals for yourself. It's important to heal from the womb first.
Thank you so much, Bianca. Before we go, I want to make a quick announcement. Hemp&fork, we have a new website. So if you head over to hemp&fork.com, that's www.hemp&fork.com. We have a great website where you can upload recipes and even find the recipes that you saw today. I'm definitely going to be making both of those dips. My husband and I are both snackers. He's more so the midnight snacker, but we're going to enjoy these snacks over the weekend. But yes, head over to the website, check out the recipes, upload your recipes if you have any to share. We've been at this for a couple of months now, so I hope you've had an opportunity to try some of the things that our guest chefs have shown us. Again, that's hemp&fork.com. I hope that the two people who won will reach out to me. That was Sherry Lambert and Adrienne Robinson. But that is all that we have for you today. Until next month. You know what? Let me make the announcement for next month. So next month, our show it's on the last Thursday of the month, and we're doing a veteran themed show. So join us next month. You'll see more information about that posted to our social media in the coming weeks, and we'll see you next month.